working folk don't have a chance unless we organise. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on?
Because it makes no sense, as I said. You can show the figures early on in the piece allegedly stack up, and there's all these billions of dollars that are available as a consequence of sales of power stations. But power stations, A, are first of all an essential service. And B, of course, are very, very big enterprises. It's not like, so allegedly you can have genuine competition in electricity, but it's not like if the power stations are overcharging, someone can step in tomorrow and set up a competitive power station right beside the existing ones. It's nonsense. And, you know, and particularly in Australia, where it's a smallish country with $22 million, you can't get genuine competition, even if you do sell these off, because you end up, you know, with 2 or 3 companies owning all the power stations across the nation. You have convergence. That's what happens in small markets. Tell me if you think we have genuine competition when it comes to petrol prices in this country. We don't, because there's only basically 2 suppliers, and that's what will happen with the issue of electricity. And I remember, by the way, being told, and this gives you a good example, by a Treasury official, when I was having a debate with him over the phone about this whole issue. This is 98, when the 99, must be the late 90s, when that proposal was on the table. And we also just happened to drift onto the issue of insurance. And he said, you know, we made a mistake as a government selling in the government insurance office, because there's not enough competition in the market, and we need a big sort of government provider to be in there to make sure that the market is behaving responsibly. So that's sort of the consequences of sales of particular key assets, and in particular, of course, electricity generation. And the other thing is, even if you are a believer in the sale of electricity, even if you are a believer that this is something that should be quite rightly done by the private sector, because allegedly they do it better, which hasn't proven to be the case, but allegedly they do it better, then you wouldn't be selling at the present time. The government says that the price they think they'll get for these power stations is about $3 billion. But remember, at the present time, of course, there's now an oversupply in electricity generation in the country. We've actually learnt our lessons and realised that we don't need to use electricity as much as we do. We might like to turn off lights at night and things of that nature, and turn off power at the supplier when we go to bed at night and things of that nature. We are getting the message about managing our demand better. We're also such uncertainty about the future of coal-fired power stations because of the issue about carbon taxes and things of that nature. And of course then there's the whole issue about moving to a clean energy economy as well. So as a consequence of that, we don't see that there's going to be a huge demand for these power stations. And therefore the price that we're going to get as taxpayers is probably far too low anyway. Better off keeping these assets in public hands, better off getting the dividends that come from these assets, better off ensuring that whatever else happens, we have a regular electricity supply in the state of New South Wales. Now the other issue, of course, is when it comes to electricity generation, is the question of our poles and wires. So we have the poles and wires, which of course run down our street, the electricity network that supplies the power to your home. Now, thanks to a lot of good work by a lot of people in this room as well, I might say, that I can see around the place, this present government has said they will not sell these poles and wires. But they have said that they will reconsider it after the next election. Now that assumes whether they win the next election, that's another debate. But there is no doubt that they are presently structuring the industry so they would be in a position to sell the poles and wires. They're merging the 3 electricity distributors into one, and they're changing its whole structure, and they're going to drive down what they see are alleged inefficiencies in our distribution network, which will then allow them to put it on the market post the next election. Now that's even a worse monopoly, because this is the poles and wires that run past your house that then feed into your home. You can't actually, if they're not delivering, you can't actually start whacking up a whole new set of poles and wires straight away to make sure that you're getting better prices for your electricity. And yet this government is fixated with the issue of competition and efficiencies, and they believe, without a doubt, that that will be the next issue, the next big asset that they want to put on the market. Understand that their decision not to sell the poles and wires was very close. There were a lot of the members of Cabinet, particularly the Treasurer Mike Baird and a few of his colleagues, who were very, very keen to sell the poles and wires. And as you know, the ex-Premier, Nick Greiner, no friend of working people and certainly no friend of public assets, was pushing very strongly from outside the government to sell the poles and wires. And our understanding, the decision not to sell inside the Cabinet only got up by a few votes. And again, I want to thank a lot of people I think I can see in this room, because one of the reasons that they did decide not to sell the poles and wires, because a number of backbenchers, particularly Paul Toole in the seat of Bathurst, and the member for Dubbo, Andrew G, and others, were very heavily lobbied by the community that this shouldn't occur. And the consequences of selling the poles and wires, what they meant for their local communities, were so bad that they shouldn't go down this path. So one of the reasons we managed, and it's one of the wins we've had as unionists in the 15 months of this government, is the fact that one of the reasons we managed to hold off on that was because of very effective lobbying. And I want to thank my union colleagues and others, as I say, if I can see around here, who were party to that.